Hi, my name is Molly Fernandez, and I run our enterprise customer success team here at YCharts. Today, we'll be talking through how we help support home office teams across our enterprise clients. First, a little bit about YCharts. YCharts was founded in 2009. We currently have grown to a team of over 140 employees, and we serve 15,000 financial professionals across RIAs, broker-dealers, asset managers. Today, we'll largely be touching on the RIA and broker-dealer segment in particular. One of the things that we pride ourselves on most at YCharts is our customer success, our client support in general. Our enterprise team works and partners very closely with our clients to ensure strong implementations and use of YCharts across those client firms. This has led to a lot of our success in the space and leads to also very strong client retention scores and satisfaction scores. You'll see here that a YCharts client tends to have a lifetime average of over 8 years. So really reflects that long-term trust and value that they put in our platform and in our service. A little bit about YCharts. YCharts is a investment research and client communications platform. So we are used across various different teams at those large RIAs, broker-dealers, asset managers to help support their clients, both in terms of research and due diligence, market monitoring, portfolio construction. So some of those internal uses that are helping with the behind the scenes work for clients, and then also bridging the gap to help create crisp, clean visuals to help fuel some of those insights and help their deliverability to clients to make sure that things are easily explained. So you'll see here some of those core customer segments of multi-office RIAs, enterprise BDs, banks and trusts. This is really some of those core clientele that our enterprise team is working with. And here you'll briefly see some of the different ways that we support some of those teams. So we'll have various other webinars touching on how YCharts supports research teams, supports advisors, and some of these workflows. Today, we'll talk about the home office broadly, so really that overarching umbrella, as well as you'll note here how we help support compliance teams, since that is an important function of the home office as well. And the last visual here before we dive into the platform, you'll see this is a common workflow of how YCharts works across enterprise teams. We'll partner with the central research team and the home office to make sure that all of the central models are in YCharts, that there is maybe approved report templates, that we have all the compliance necessities in place for advisors to operate and make sure that those client deliverables are compliant. And then you'll see those advisors are then able to take that information that's given to them by the research team, by the home office, to generate proposals and help them win new business and fuel organic growth across the firm. As you'll see, all of these workflows are able to happen in a single platform in YCharts, unlocking a lot of value for our clients. So now I'll navigate into the platform itself and walk through a few different areas that we see this information leveraged and accessed across the firm. So first and foremost here on a dashboard within YCharts, a dashboard serves as really an advisor or user's homepage within the platform. Our enterprise clients will commonly put together enterprise dashboards that are then used across the entire firm. These will almost always have some sort of model portfolio information, so a quick and easy way to deliver models to advisors. Every advisor, when they sign in, will then have a dashboard or multiple dashboards that they're able to access to give them quick insight on how various different portfolios might be doing, get that quick information, potentially some information that's distributed by the central team here on the left-hand side, as you'll see some model announcements, investment committee information, things that might be important to display to the firm that can be shared out from here as well. And then you'll see this dashboard is rounded out by some further charts and visuals, so that, again, as an advisor, if I'm coming in here, I can quickly see how are our models doing over the past week, how are they doing year to date, have those talking points at the ready. So rather than relying on, say, month-old or quarter-old fact sheets, as is the more traditional way of distributing model information, I now have information on these portfolios at my fingertips and it's updated for me so that as market volatility occurs or as I need to be more up to date on those portfolios for client questions, I have that information ready. Firms will also often build out market monitor dashboards for their advisors as well. So for instance, if there's beneficial information to have across the board, whether that be major indices that should be tracked or important economic data points, all of that is available within YCharts as well. And so multiple dashboards can be built out to allow for a consistent view across the advisor base and have the entire firm operating off of some central knowledge. Advisors can then still come in here and customize that information as they might need to. You'll see here just another example of a dashboard for an entire firm, different ways that these can be constructed. What is important to note is that all of these portfolios are also clickable. So I have some headline information available on the dashboard, but as I might need to get more into the weeds, maybe I need to see a more in-depth allocation breakout of this model portfolio, for instance, I'm going to be able to do that. I can come into this portfolio and keep this information as high level in terms of, say, an overall asset allocation, or as granular as I might need to. I can even come in and see particular exposure to countries within here. I can see this portfolio has a over 3% exposure to China or a 13 basis point exposure to Indonesia, whatever that might be. I can come in and see that information. Also going to be able to see things like performance. This performance can be controlled by the home office if you have historical returns or historical holdings that you want to load in to ensure that your model portfolio performance is as accurate as possible. That is going to be a possibility. We can also backtest the current holdings. So lots of different ways that we can support that model build out. So firms will often load in those dashboards and then load in their models to help support those dashboards as well. Those models are centrally maintained by the research team, so advisors are always able to access that up-to-date information. That way, if I'm an advisor and I need to win some new business, all I need to do is upload the current portfolio into YCharts, typically using statement extraction and AI to make that process as seamless as possible. Once I have that current portfolio, I'm then able to run a proposal against any of these models that are already living here in the system. Those proposals are very bespoke and customizable as well. That's something that can be given editing access to an advisor if that's something that compliance has comfort with. If instead you wanted to have some lockdown firm templates that are available, that's fully possible as well. In YCharts, we have a report builder tool. This report builder tool is going to allow you to fully customize report outputs from our system. So our reports are modular. You're able to create as many custom reports as you might want to. These reports are then also importantly branded with your firm's logo and color scheme and any of those compliance disclosures that you might need to include. So I'll just briefly touch upon this. If I wanted to create a new report, you'll see there's a lot of flexibility just in terms of general layout, what the orientation of the report is, how many securities it can include, though even that can vary, whether a benchmark should be included by default. And then as I come into our report builder, you'll see this will start me off with a blank page, or you can always start from one of our templates. And here on the left-hand side, I can come in and begin to build out this report. So starting with allocation, maybe I want to include asset allocation, region exposure, sector exposure, and bond sector exposure, just for a quick example. I can come in and add those in, and you'll see those modules will now populate within my report. I can come in and customize those modules further, change what they're called, change the number of securities that they focus on, move them around in my page if I want to. Full flexibility over this report setup. And so it can really get to be pretty granular and detailed for you. Or again, we always have off-the-shelf reports available. Once these reports are saved, they can then be shared out just like portfolios and dashboards. So any information within YCharts can always be shared out to a broader audience. That can be sharing out to an entire firm, or if there are subgroups that need to be catered to, say you want to share some information out to an entire firm and some information should just go from an office to kind of stay within that office, I should say, that's possible as well. We have different sharing mechanisms to make sure that the proper information is shared with the right groups. And everyone has access to the information that will help their day-to-day and their workflows in particular. So again, if I'm an advisor, all of this information typically lives within the system for me. I'm able to really quickly access it. So again, I just have to build out that portfolio and I can then run a report on that portfolio. In terms of what that report outlook can look like in its finished state, this is a good example of that. So first and foremost, you'll see that we can embed external content into the YCharts reports. So commonly, if there are team bios or firm information that typically gets shared during that client meeting or prospect meeting, you can embed that in the YCharts report so that all of that information comes out as a complete package and really just aligns for that consistent experience across various different offices. So you'll see a lot of information just loaded up here from really just a PowerPoint deck, which is what we see most commonly, but these can be PDFs or whatever information or whatever format you have that information in. And then it moves into the investment proposal. So this is the piece that's coming out of YCharts. You'll see this one in particular is focusing on a household. So again, these reports can include all of these items. They can be expanded upon. You can cut down this information. You can change the order. You'll notice that each of these gray bars really segments out those various different modules. So you'll see here, focusing on a household, we can then come in and include performance on these portfolios if we'd like. Again, that's something that can be included or excluded depending on how you prefer to conduct these conversations. We have stress testing available within the platform. So here's a quick example of that. And then this next page focuses on our risk profile. So if you have an RTQ or you typically are talking about risk in terms of various different profiles, various different buckets, that's something that can also be set up within YCharts at the home office level so that that information is shared out and you are then able to have your advisors compare the prospect portfolios against those risk profiles. So you'll see in this instance, if we had a growth investor based off of their responses to the RTQ, I can then come in here and say, based on your responses, you're a growth investor. Here's how you are currently aligned to that asset allocation. Here's where our proposed portfolio would get you to, and show how they're slowly moving towards that growth profile over time. Again, everything from allocation to risk information to holdings information, all of that can be included in these reports. And as you'll notice, all that branding is coming through as well and very easy to apply and update if those branding guidelines change in the future. So you'll see some of those risk modules here. And then as I come down towards the bottom, you'll see it'll touch on both overarching holdings as well as underlying holdings. So looking through any mutual funds or ETFs in the portfolio to those base stock or bond holdings, all of that will show up. And then towards the very end of this report, you will also see that there is a transition analysis included within here. So if you were talking about the kind of nitty-gritty of moving from a prospect portfolio through to a model and the various different transactions that will require, and importantly, the tax impact of those transactions, all of that can be mapped out in YCharts as well. So you really are able to take a client or a prospect through this entire process all within one platform and set up those various different templates for your advisors to operate within. Again, all of this information is customizable, and as you'll notice here, we'll come into the disclosures. These disclosures are also fully customizable as well. We have a very robust disclosure and compliance approach at YCharts, so you will be able to use a lot of our verbiage, have a lot of our language included if you would like. But again, this is something that's controllable on the firm level, so that if there are adjustments that need to be made, we can help support that. It's important to note here too that all of the reports that are run out of YCharts do get logged. So if there was anyone who needed to have compliance oversight and have access to those reports, we do have report archives that are available so that you can track those reports and any of those PDFs being generated across the field as well. So that is a very quick overview of how YCharts often works with home offices in particular and really enterprise firms overall. looking in a few ways in terms of loading up and distributing models and making sure that there's easy visibility into the insights of the firm, building out various different firm templates so that the advisors are able to leverage reports and proposals and generate that proposal in as little as a few minutes and have that ready to go to win new business. And then importantly, also ensure that the firm is acting compliantly and consistently across the various different client channels and the client experience in general. If you have any questions or would like to learn more, please don't hesitate to reach out to our team. Please email us at enterprise@ycharts.com as a best line of contact. That, again, is just going to be enterprise@ycharts.com. Thank you all.